So in this video today, we're going to talk about special right triangles, and we're going to start with the 45, 45, 90 triangle. We're going to determine the side lengths of the triangles with the 45, 45, 90 degree angles. We are doing AKS-IOA 5A, where we are explaining that by similarity, side ratios in right triangles are properties of angles, and the triangles lead to the definitions of trigonometric ratios for acute angles. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is decompose a square. So we're going to draw a square, which I've already done, so I need you guys to do that, with side lengths of 1 centimeter. So all of these are 1 centimeter, 1 centimeter, 1 centimeter, 1 centimeter. Then it says draw a diagonal line in the square and label the diagonal C. I drew my diagonal and I'm going to label that C. Then it says calculate the length of C. So what we're going to do, and we know that C is the right, the hypotenuse because it's opposite that right angle right there. So we're going to say 1 squared plus 1 squared equals C squared. So that's going to be 1 plus 1 equals C squared. So that's 2 equals C squared. So remember, we got to take square root of both sides, right? To get it down to C. So C is equal to the square root of 2. The diagonal decomposes a square into two 45, 45, 90 triangles. How do we know that? Because this angle right here was 45, that was 90, and this angle here was 90. So if we divide each of those by 2, then each of these angles is going to be 45 and 45, right? So this is going to be 2 45, 45, 90 triangles, okay? They're right isosceles triangles with acute angles of 45 degrees. So these are right isosceles triangles. That's what we just formed when we created that, when we put that diagonal there. Therefore, all right isosceles triangles are similar by angle-angle triangle similarity. So, in a 45, 45, 90 triangle, both legs are congruent. And the length of the hypotenuse is the length of a leg times the square root of 2. So, I want you to notice this. These two legs are congruent, right? So if it's 45, 45, 90, the angles are congruent and those legs are congruent, which is why it's an isosceles triangle, okay? So in the hypotenuse, this is our hypotenuse. So our hypotenuse, we got one formula for this. Our hypotenuse is equal to the leg times the square root of 2. And we just proved that a minute ago, okay? So this is the one and only formula that you need to remember for a 45, 45, 90 triangle. And that square root of 2 has to do with we only have two unique angle measures, 90 and 45, and two unique side lengths, the hypotenuse and the legs. All right, so in example 1, it says in triangle ABC, AB is 6 units long. Shows us that in the drawing. What is the length of AC and BC? Okay, so remember again, because these angles are congruent, which it shows in our drawing, then the sides that are opposite them are congruent. So that means this side also is 6. So AC is going to be equal to 6. And BC is our hypotenuse, right? So our formula is hypotenuse is equal to the leg times the square root of, times the square root of 2. Okay, so this is our leg, right? So that means that the hypotenuse is equal to 6 times the square root of 2. And that is equal to our BC. Okay? All right, go ahead and do this. You try and come back to me when you're done. Here again, because we have one 45 degree angle, we know this has to be a 45 degree angle. And that's because 45 plus 45 is 90. That means also that these two legs are congruent, right? So y is equal to 8. Now we know that x is our hypotenuse, and the formula for the 45, 45, 90 is the hypotenuse times the legs times the square root of 2. This was equal to 8, and this is also equal to L, right? Okay, so we can substitute in the x for the h and say 8 square root of 2, because again, we're putting our L in for our that variable right there, and that's what we said it was equal to. So there's your answers for those two. All right, in triangle DEF, the hypotenuse is 12 units long. What is the length of DF and FE? Okay, so again, because this is a 45, 45, 90, we know the angles are congruent, so the opposite side, those sides that are opposite those angles are congruent. This is going to be equal to our H. These are our L's, okay? So our formula is H is equal to L square root of 2, right? So this time we're going to substitute the 12 in. So we're going to say 12 is equal to L square root of 2. Now, this is going to take some remembering what you did last year. So to get rid of anything times something, we're going to divide both sides by the square root of 2 here. So that's going to give us L is equal to 12 over the square root of 2. Now, what you may or may not remember from last year is that you can never have a radical in the denominator. So what we're going to do is we're going to multiply this by the square root of 2 over the square root of 2. And we're doing that because anything over itself is 1, right? So this is going to leave us with 12 square root of 2. And the square root of 2 times square root of 2 is the square root of 4. That's equal to L. Now we all know what the square root of 4 is. It's 2, right? So this is going to be 12 square root of 2 over 2. And then notice here that this right here can be simplified even more, right? So 12 divided by 2 is 6. So this is going to be 6 square root of 2. And that's going to be equal to our leg. And remember, both of our legs are going to be equal. So this is equal to both DF and FE. Okay, let's see if you guys can do the U-try. Work through this process one step at a time. Here again, we have our legs are congruent because we have two 45-degree angles, right? So this is L, and this is L, and this is H. So we're going to say H is equal to L square root of 2. We could say that that's X and Y, right? That's going to be equal to, well, actually, let's not do that. Let's go ahead and say 10 here. So we're going to say 10 is equal to, we could put X here, square root of 2. Divide both sides by that square root of 2, right? So now that's gone. Then we could, just right here, we could multiply by the square root of 2 over the square root of 2. So that's going to leave us with 10 square root of 2 over, what is this combined? The square root of 4. You're right. That's going to be equal to our X now. Then now this is 10 square root of 2 over 2 because the square root of 4 is 2. And once again, do you notice this can be reduced right here? So this is going to be 5 square root of 2 is equal to X, which is also equal to Y. Okay? All right, so this next one, example 3, says find the value of A and B. Give your answer in simplest radical form. So once again, we notice that these are congruent angles, so these are congruent sides. So we could say very simply that A is equal to 2 square root of 2, right? Now, our hypotenuse is going to be this. So we're going to say B is equal to 2 square root of 2. That's our L, right? Isn't this our L? It is. Times the square root of 2. And we've already done this one, square root of 2 times square root of 2. 2 times the square root of 4, right? So B is equal to 2 times 2, so B is equal to 4. Okay? So you try 3, says find the values of X and Y. So here again, if this is a 45, that means this down here has to be 45. These two angles are congruent, so these two sides are congruent. So we could say Y is equal to the square root of 3. And then we're looking for our hypotenuse, right? Again, that formula is H is equal to L square root of 3, or 2, right? Sorry. This was our L, right? Okay. So we're going to say X is equal to the square root of 3 times the square root of 2. And we just multiply those, put them right back underneath that radical. So that's going to be the square root of 6. So X is the square root of 6. That's not A or B. And then Y is the square root of 3, not 2 square root of 3. So that's why our answer is C. Okay, so the next one says find the value of X and Y from the given triangle. So this time we're given H, right? That's our H, and both of these are going to be L's and L's again because it's going to be a 45, 90 triangle with congruent angles. So the sides are congruent, yes? Okay, So we're going to use our formula h equals L square root of 2. We're going to put 7 square root of 2 here, and that's equal to L. Or we could say x or y if we wanted to. But I'm just going to leave it L for right now, square root of 2. Then we're going to divide both sides by the square root of 2. And what does that do to our square root of 2 on both sides? Takes it away, right? So L is going to be equal to 7. So that means our x is equal to 7 and our y is equal to 7. All right, go ahead and do the you try 4 and then come back to me when you're done. Once again, you should notice that this is going to also be a 45-degree angle. These sides are going to be congruent. So whatever we get for V is what U is going to be. This is our H. So H is equal, and these are both L's, right? So H is equal to L square root of 2. So I'm going to say 2 square root of 2 is equal to L square root of 2. So once again, going to divide both sides by that square root of 2. Gone, gone. So L is equal to 2. So that means V is equal to 2 and U is equal to 2. All right, so we got a couple word problems here. It says Jana is cutting a square of material for a tablecloth. The table's diagonal is 36 inches. She wants the tablecloth to be an extra 10 inches long so it will hang over. She wants the diagonal of the tablecloth to be 10 inches long. So we started with 36 and we're going to add 10 to that, right? So 36 plus 10 equals 46. So I'm going to draw a square here. Hold on. So I drew a square and I'm going to make the diagonal 46. And so once again, there's a right angle there. And obviously this would be a 45-degree angle and this would be a 45-degree angle, right? So that means these two sides would be the same, okay? And I'm just going to put inches on that, okay? So then it says, what size square should Jana cut to make the tablecloth round to the nearest inch? So that means we've got our legs and our legs, right? So what we want to do is find the leg. And we now, right now, have, isn't this our hypotenuse? It is. So we're going to say L squared plus L squared is equal to 46 squared, right? So that's going to be 2L squared equals 46 squared. And 46 squared, what was that? Hold on. So 46 squared was 2,106. And we still got our 2L squared here. So we're going to divide both sides by 2. So L squared is going to be equal to 1058. And then we're going to take square root of both sides. So L is going to be equal to 32.53. And it says what size should cut to the nearest inch. So this is going to round up to be 33 inches by 33 inches. Now, the other way you could have done this is you could have used that formula. H is equal to L square root of 2, right? You could have put 46 here is equal to L square root of 2 divided by the square root of 2 here. Okay, so L would have still been equal to that 32.53. So whichever way you want to do it, whichever way your logic works, that's what you should do. Okay. Now, the next one says Ryan took up sailing. His sailboat is a 45, 90 degree triangle. The base of the sail is 6 feet long. What would the height of the sail be? And then what's the length of the hypotenuse? So I basically drew here a 45, 90 triangle. It says the base of the sail is 6 feet long, so 6 foot here. These sides are congruent, right? So this is also 6 feet. So what would the height be? The height would also be 6 feet, right? And then it says what would be the length of the hypotenuse. So remember, our formula for hypotenuse is equal to HL square root of 2, right? So this is equal to L, right? And so is this. So that means the hypotenuse is going to be 6 square root of 2. And this time we're going to compute that. So 6 times the square root of 2 is equal to 8.5 feet. And when we round it, okay? Because again, it wouldn't be logical to leave this with a radical in the answer. So the last one says Laura and Rose are creating an art project the shape of a right triangle. They have a 92 centimeter piece of wood which will be used for the hypotenuse. Okay, so let's draw this one. Okay, so we're saying this is 92 inches. Oh no, sorry, centimeters. So 92 centimeters here. And which will be used for the hypotenuse. So that's our hypotenuse, right? Because opposite the right angle. The two legs of the triangular support are of equal length. These are of equal length. That means this has to be a 45, 45, 90 triangle, right? Okay. Approximately how many more centimeters of wood do they need to complete the support? So that means we're going to try to find our legs here, right? So once again, we're using h equals L square root of 2. So this is equal to our h. So we're going to say 92 is equal to L times the square root of 2. Divide both sides by the square root of 2. Now again, because we just need an actual length here, we don't need to simplify this radical. We can just divide 92 by the square root of 2. And when we do that, we get 65 centimeters. Now listen, that's only one of our legs. And don't we need two of those? So we're going to go 2 times the 65. That means we're going to need 130 centimeters of wood. Okay?